Now at noon, Multnomah County spent millions of dollars building its deflection center. Recent data shows a few people are using it. We take a closer look. Plus, TSA says a meat cleaver, that's right, a meat cleaver was brought on board a plane at PDX. What happened to all the passengers after officials uncovered the contraband? And later,
I was like, I'm probably going to get eaten by a bear. That's like 1 in a million right there.
a boy describes this terrifying moment he says he'll never forget. We're following breaking news this afternoon where just minutes ago, House lawmakers passed a bill for the Justice Department to release files on Jeffrey Epstein. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. I'm Joe Ranieri. The bill passed 427-1. Earlier today, advocates spoke out on the files in Washington, D.C., saying the files could reveal potential ties between the convicted sex offender and powerful people like President Donald Trump. The president denies any wrongdoing and has never been charged. President Trump says he's reserving his position and now says he'd sign the legislation.
As far as the Epstein files I have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. I threw him out of my club many years ago because I thought he was a sick pervert.
It's time that we put the political agendas and party affiliations to the side. This is a human issue. This is about children. There is no place in society for exploitation, sexual crimes, or exploitation of women in society.
The bill now heads to the Senate for review, then President Trump, but even if he signs it, it could be a while until the files could be released. A new Multnomah County report shows big problems for the county's deflection center. Very few people are using it. The center was created last year so people in possession of drugs could get treatment instead of going to jail. Thomas Schultz has a look at what the county commissioners are saying about the new report.
Well, to say county leaders are disappointed by this data would be an understatement. Commissioners want to see progress, and they want to see it fast. This center opened back in October of 2024 to be a place where people caught with drugs could receive treatment instead of jail time after the state recriminalized illegal drug use. Though in its first year, law enforcement only referred 520 people here. That's less than 2 a day. And here's where it gets really bleak. Only 113 people actually completed the deflection program, meaning they used a service like a shelter or sobering center offered to them. Over the past few months, more people have visited the facility, leading to marginally improved results. Still, it's a far cry from what county leaders are pushing for.
I'm concerned that this model fundamentally doesn't really work. 2 people a day can't, for the millions of dollars we spent, we can't continue with that.
In the first 11 months of the center, the county spent more than $8 million operating this building and also getting it up and running in the shape that it needs to be. We asked them, what have those operating expenses been like over the past 2 months? Those numbers were not included in recent data. We didn't hear back from the county on that. Though leaders of this program within the county say, look, this is a place that's supposed to be a front door to get people the help that they need, not a place where they get the treatment themselves.
We've been judged on a program that was not designed for what people are asking us to do.
Now, staff say they would like to treat people on site because that helps them get that treatment as soon as possible, making the whole process a little bit more efficient. But here's the thing, that would cost more money, something that has not been allocated. In Southeast Portland, Thomas Schultz, KGW News.
Hundreds of National Guard members will be sent home from their Portland deployment. The U.S. Army Northern Command has ordered 100 Oregon Guard members demobilized, but another 100 will remain. 200 California National Guard troops will also reportedly be sent home. Oregon Governor Tina Kotek says she wants all Guard members demobilized. She says they've been away from families for days on what she calls an unnecessary deployment. Meantime, the Trump administration is appealing a federal judge's order that permanently blocked the deployment of the National Guard here in Portland. Unless the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals weighs in, the remaining 100 troops will be demobilized on Friday. This afternoon, we're learning that Border Patrol officers arrested more than 560 undocumented immigrants in the Portland area in October alone. The chief of the U.S. Border Patrol posted that stat on X, saying its team is restoring order and protecting communities. It's not clear just how many of those detained had criminal histories and backgrounds. An analysis of September ICE arrests across the country, the Migration Policy Institute found 71% of those arrested had no criminal convictions. ICE is now looking to tribal land in Washington to house immigrant detainees, but Nisqually Indian tribe in western Washington says it won't be a part of it. The tribe confirmed that an employee had spoken with ICE without council approval. The tribe said in a statement they have not and will not enter into a contract with ICE, as it goes against their policy of treating all individuals with humanity and compassion. An Indigenous rights attorney spoke with our sister station in Seattle.
It's deeply ironic that the United States is seeking the assistance of a tribe representing the original peoples of this country to forcibly remove immigrants from this country.
Nisqually Tribe Chairman Ken Choke said in a statement they're aware ICE is also tapping into other tribes for possible detention space. A new push to open up Oregon's primary election is getting some high-profile support. Nowadays, nearly half of voters in the state are not registered as Democrats or Republicans. That means they can't vote in primary elections, even though the state pays to put them on. However, that could change if Initiatives 55 and 56 get on the ballot and win next year. One of the chief petitioners for the initiatives is former two-term Governor Ted Kulongoski. He says times have changed and the 44% of Oregonians not registered with either major party deserve to be heard and have real influence in elections.
Having the two major parties have to ask that 1.3 million people, what's your opinion in this primary election? And reach out to them. I think the governmental process will be better for one major reason. It will moderate the system. Instead of extremes, I'm in the search for the middle.
You can find more of our interview with the former governor on KGW.com, our KGW YouTube page, and streaming anytime on KGW+. And TSA is investigating how someone was able to bring a meat cleaver on board a Delta plane at PDX last week. The cleaver was in a carry-on that somehow made it past security and onto the flight headed to Salt Lake City. The agency said in a statement, quote, "We take this matter very seriously." Delta staff reported the cleaver to TSA, though it's not clear how it was discovered on the plane. All passengers were taken off the plane and rescreened. Now switching gears a little bit, let's take a live look outside on this Tuesday afternoon. Here's a live look from our Wells Fargo camera where you can see mostly cloudy skies to start the day, and those clouds really haven't lifted a whole lot. And we also saw some of the coldest temperatures of the fall earlier this morning. Let's toss it over to meteorologist Rod Hill with the latest in your weather forecast. Rod, it was downright chilly in a few locations just above freezing.
Yeah, and we're not used to being chilly, which made it seem even that much more chilly, right? So I think the stat really says it all. Last night into this morning, only the third time this fall season, the PDX has dipped below 40. That's how crazy mild we've been. So this is the unofficial report. In some cases, these numbers could be adjusted. Typically, the adjustment would be downward by 1 degree, but we'll see. This shows it was right about freezing in Hillsborough. Beaverton was the same. Aurora, 33. So what's interesting, PDX dropped to 36 last night before midnight. These are the calendar date for today's lows. 37 degrees after midnight, 37 in Trapped 34 up in Vancouver. It does appear that Salem did get all the way down to 32. We had at least a couple areas report light frost in the valley, and if anything, I expect more widespread temperatures nearing freezing as we go tonight into tomorrow morning. So if you have some tender vegetation sitting outside, you might want to bring it indoors. The Weather Service has a freeze warning up. Again, this is for tonight into tomorrow morning for the gorge. This is basically Hood River out through the Dalles and into Arlington, believing there could be some upper 20 degrees temperatures. Joe showed you the Wells Fargo camera with all the clouds. So far we have been dry, but the cloud cover's pretty solid. Here's the Rose City camera at high noon, struggling to warm up with the cloud cover. That makes sense, right? And we started in the 30s, 45 degrees. Your temperature march for the remainder of today, struggling to get up to 50. This shows 49 at 3 o'clock and 49 at 4 o'clock. May not make 50 degrees. Some clearing or breaks in cloud cover expected a little bit later this afternoon. Of course, your complete forecast is coming up. Joe?
All right, Rod, we'll talk to you in about 10 minutes. Here's a look at some national headlines this afternoon. Federal authorities say they're expanding immigration enforcement efforts in North Carolina to the state's capital of Raleigh as soon as today. This comes after authorities say they arrested more than 130 people in the first 2 days of an operation focused in Charlotte. Some encounters turned violent, with agents breaking car windows and citizens going after officers. Some Hispanic-owned businesses have also closed, saying they don't want to become targets. President Trump is floating the idea of pulling the World Cup matches from Seattle if he believes the city isn't safe. Speaking from the Oval Office, Trump pointed to the election of incoming Mayor Katie Wilson, who says she will protect Seattle's sanctuary status from migrants. Seattle is one of 11 U.S. host cities for next year's tournament, with 6 matches set to be played here. Many popular internet sites are down this afternoon because of a technical problem with the web infrastructure company Cloudflare. This impacted sites like X, Spotify, and ChatGPT. Some of those sites have come back online over the last couple of hours. Cloudflare said it had implemented a fix to resolve the problem. And the U.S. National Archives published more than 4,000 pages of new documents about aviator Amelia Earhart's final trip. Earhart disappeared in 1937 while attempting to fly around the world. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard said the files detail Earhart's last known communications, as well as weather and plane conditions at the time. And those are a look at your national headlines this afternoon.